Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome from whichever part of the country or the world that you're going to be joining in today and also be witnessing this video later. I hope you and your loved ones are well. A very warm welcome to our wonderful speakers and a big salute to Mukesh and Arzu, who's hiding behind the Headstart account today. There has been tremendous momentum and work. I'm pretty sure that you have received this link through some form of communication, but just going to bring everyone into the same sync. Welcome to Headstart's Startup September month. Today is day 3. We have these wonderful leaders and the CXOs from some of the leading incubators of our country. Before we dive into our talk today, I'll just set the context. A little bit about Headstart for everyone. Headstart has been incepted in 2007 and since then has been a grassroots level ecosystem with presence in over 30 Indian cities, 2 international chapters now. It's organized over 2,000 startup events, and the work that Headstart has done directly and indirectly has resulted in over 10,000 new ventures. Some of the bigger names in the startup ecosystem have all had some origin story or connection story with Headstart. Some of the young startups have made demos, they've come in and now are unicorns. And we've added over 20 lakh jobs and over 48,000 crores to the Indian economy. And guess what? We are all volunteers at Headstart, obviously except for Mukesh and Arzu today, who are staff members. And that's also a very matter of pride for Headstart that we have managed to become this kind of organized effort to continue to support the startup ecosystem. And the Startup September month is kind of to bring to visibility what Headstart has been doing for all these years and kind of string it up into this kind of mega festival. I think we used to do something called HSX, which was this whole entire event that used to run over a couple of days, and we had like 5,000 plus attendees. And now with the COVID reality, we couldn't do an HSX last year. So we've kind of geared up all our forces, all our alumni, and we brought this session for you today. So that's the little bit of backstory. And then without further ado, I think we have 7 of the leaders from 7 Atal Incubation Centers. These are individuals who come in on our request to share a little bit with the startups and also other incubators who are looking to scale up the activities that they have been doing. Today, through our session, we will be guided through different area points, different ways that these leaders have approached incubation, and some of them have over a decade of experience in this matter. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Ms. Shiba, if you could unmute yourself and join us here. Arzu, can we spotlight Shiba, please? And
hi, Kiran.
Hi, Shiba. Pleasure. Thank you for joining in. You're calling in from Noida, I believe.
No, I just moved to my hometown for some days. So I belong to Lucknow basically. So I'm here with my family for a couple of days. So I was there at Noida since long. So on a break.
So Shiva, our first slot is with you. We are going to be, you have about 10 minutes. You can feel free to yield your time so that we can chat a little bit about it, but we have 5 minutes after the 10 minutes to talk a little bit about the work that you have. I believe you have some presentation slides.
Yeah, so I have some quick videos, that's the content videos that will be really good to see the content quickly.
Shiva, if you'd like to talk over this period, maybe just...
Yes. So I think after this, most of the things are very obvious. So we are running basically 2 major programs, and then there are some customized programs also. I have some details about my team, my mentors, and of course the USP for our incubator is the deep tech technologies, the exhaustive infra which we hold for tech startups is one of its kind in Delhi NCR. which our startups are making best of use, and would encourage anybody who would like to join us can actually avail this whole tech infra. I don't know if you guys are able to hear the music or sound behind this.
Yes, faintly, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I just reduce the sound there. Okay, so at the last you can see a couple of our the bright startups which we are holding, which definitely create a very good and exciting portfolio which we have right now. Some of the startups are like, right now we are more of a tech agnostic incubator. We recently started off our application process through Venture Challenge, and thanks to Headstart as one of the extended team, the application process was a huge response. We could manage some very good startups who joined us. I'll just share that as well, and then we can have some good discussion on this.
Surely, Shiva.
Yeah. So this is something I would definitely like all of you to see how Headstart and AIC, SNU, and HCL brought on this kind of an activity.
So the fund that I work for, Shiva, thank you so much for having me.
Headstart also I must thank, because they have been a fabulous partner to all the marketing efforts they are putting in. So Kiran, you can see there was a lot of things we did together as Headstart team, and then being here today is also a privilege, discussing with so many peer incubators doing similar activities. Feel good to be in an environment where more people are there to work along with you. So that's more, and if you have some questions and things, that will be easier for me to speak then.
Sure, Shiva. Shiva, help us understand the age of this incubator, and also I don't think that like peer incubators are like fair enough, because I think each incubator, depending on the geography they're in, the kind of background that the trustees and the management of that university have in terms of their ability to access resources, leaders like you, the team that is there, their understanding of the ecosystem and the need of the startups. I think it's like a very dynamic space. So I hate to compare incubators. I think each one is a hero or a heroine in the ecosystem. So
it's more about I don't believe in competition when we say about discussing about incubators. It's more about co-optation. We try to understand, learn, help each other. So there are times when I have certain queries or things which I was not able to solve. Then I think I'm blessed to have people around, and even incubators around who helped us a lot. As far as the AIC Shivnada University incubator goes, we are hosted at Shivnada University. We are not a very, you can say, an old incubator. It's more about 2.5 year or 3 years journey, you can say. It's 1.5 year with COVID during this time also. We are thankful that a lot of things we could manage, and not many startups synced into the COVID, post-COVID issues and all that. Then, of course, one of the USP, or you can say that we are also supported, and we have the HCL as one of the parent company looking after our tech startups for business support or scaling or any kind of further support we need in understanding. Then, of course, Shivnada University, as I explained, is one of the exhaustive research-based centers. So you name it, and the technology usage is there. And the best part with the campus is that they are ready to adapt to new kind of tech, you can say introduction of new tech concepts, ideas. Once you are here, you'll feel that you are more in certain areas, like more of a prototype lab or places where students are always busy, and a couple of our startups are also involved. The startups also feel good to be in the campus because of the support of interns they get from students. Students are likewise very excited to work with the startups. We are also one of the few incubators who have 2 locations. So we also have one of the offices in Noida. Just because of the campus, we are based out of Dadri, Greater Noida. We have created a business center, a city office for our startups there. So those startups who want to work on their hardware startups, they are there in the campus. And a couple of them, when they have their business meetings, they can work through the office there at the Noida. So that's
So
one of the
very quick question for you. In terms of sector, you mentioned deep tech as an area that you're looking at, and any other specific niches that you have identified?
So we have a very, you can say, advanced life sciences division. We are also looking into life sciences. When I'm saying deep tech, of course, then we are trying to make certain areas more into IoT, where we say AI, ML. We have advanced, you can say, facilities for robotics, drone technologies. One of the slides definitely depict that there have been there have been labs, and already students and faculties are working on this. So if the startup is here, they will not feel anything away from it. Like they'll get a full support from the domain experts. And then, of course, we have good tech partners, not just HCL. We have a vast list of industrial connections, not partners, but connections, where we try to connect our startups as per their customized requirement, be it business, be it client, or any other kind of even if they want to do some POC, paid and unpaid. So we just figured that out.
Wonderful. I think we have a couple of minutes to open up for conversation from our fellow panelists or any of our attendees who might have questions for you. While those come in, I would just like to ask you maybe what was the highlight for you moving from, say, IIM, which was your past? I've been doing a little bit of digging on you. You've been around 6 years there and then 3 years here. So what's been a challenge that you could say that, like, some wisdom for fellow incubation professionals who are working in the incubation space, something that you wish you had known earlier? What would some wisdom in that regard be?
So one thing which I figured out, that being in a university where you have undergraduate students who are very, very enthusiastic about working with the projects. Yeah, IIM, of course, has their own charms and things. I learned a lot. Whatever today I am, it's because of that place where I was. A lot of connections, a lot of alumni networks. So one thing is for sure, the kind of alumni support you get. So that's one of the brand that brings in. But when you work with a university setup, you have a mixed baggage where you have something which we can definitely leverage. The management, and as well as engineers, technical grads, social sciences people. So all these come as a mixed groups and teams, which is rare to find at places like IIM Lucknow, or you can say IIMs, or if you go to IITs, we'll have hardcore techies. So here the amalgamation, what you find with the students is a good to catch up. As a learning, when I started off as a scratch, I must say. I was always into entrepreneurship, research, and strategy, but never into more of startups. So it was you can say a learned journey throughout here where I am today. So one of the catch, I would say, that as much you attend sessions, meet more and more people, every startup has a very unique story. And then finally, if you have met a lot of people, you have a lot of things to understand. So unless you meet, interact, maybe it's a time-taking activity, but that is a must, like the way we are doing. So that's very, very needed, at least in the ecosystem we belong to.
I'm very happy to have such a patient leader in you and supporter in you. I think the startups in Shivnadar University are lucky, and I wish that this video is expressed by more people and seen by more people. That interdisciplinary approach that you mentioned, that different streams of people coming in, and the kind of creativity and energy that flows in a university. I love that point.
So we are, by the way, Kiran, we are also working on a curriculum where we encourage students of all the schools, when we say departments or schools, to come up with some startup, work with us with AIC, and let's see if that succeeds. So that's one of the things we are trying to encourage the student entrepreneurship.
I think the mindset that gets cultivated is it's a rush, and I think the more the students enjoy that early on, it helps build up the confidence for the bigger, bolder things in life. So thank you so much. Any of our fellow panelists, feel free to ask. I think we can recognize one question. It'd be nice to hear one of our fellow panelists if you have anything for. Yes, Eben, I think, no, he's not on the panel, but from the attendees. Arzu, can you recognize him maybe? Or the hands
from the attendees?
Yeah, I think Eben raised his hand briefly. I just saw pop up.
Yeah, Eben, 1 second.
Yeah. Eben, if you did that by mistake, I don't care. Now you have to ask a question.
Oh, I just, he's here in the panelist. He should be able to ask.
Yes. Hi, Eben.
So I have a question like how my question is to Shiba, like how an an incubation team help you to build a great incubator in the heart of India. So how your team exactly helping you?
So
I would like to listen from that.
Yeah. So as I say, I'm more of a, I never go alone anywhere. So it's all about my team. So no matter I have to work along with my team, I'm never like a boss or a typical leader. So team is very, very important. Unless you have a well-defined team with a well-defined task, it becomes a total chaos, be it incubator, any place other than that. Because you can't be omnipresent to everywhere. When I say I'm talking to all startups, I'm attending to all events, it's all because of the team. I can't be like no one. I think that everyone will agree that a team is very, very much needed for assigned specific tasks which they do. So that's equally goes for the incubator. So you need to have a portfolio manager looking after your incubatees who have their issues and sometimes even feedbacks every day. And you have your somebody who's looking after your marketing efforts. That's very, very much needed because there are a lot of things going inside the incubator which the world should know, other startups should know. And we also get to know from others once we are there in the out in the media or sphere. And then there are things where we need a lot of networking. So I believe this networking also needs a proper team to handle a lot of collaborations which we need. And rest, Eben, you know that we belong to a proper university. So we don't have a very huge team. And I think I'm fine with that. A lot of general management stuff is being taken care by the host institute. So that's absolutely fine to us. That's also one of the support. And I must thank those team members as well, who have been so supportive of the, though that may sound general, but that's very, very tedious task if my team has to do that work also. So that's one of the key areas they're looking after.
Thank you, Shiba. Thank you, Eben. I think one of
Thank
our
you.
panelists.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eben. Nice to see you here.
Bhagavati has a question for you. Bhagavati, last question. Thank you.
Yeah. So
and you're only up next.
Yeah.
Just saying you're only up next. So this is going in from your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hi, Shiba. Hi, all panelists and audience. Thanks for being there. Hi, thanks to Headstart for bringing Startup September. Yeah. So my question was like, are you planning any deep tech sector in recent future which you want to collaborate or something in mind that this can really
so collaborate?
Any deep tech sector you are looking at in future to work on specifically to bring on a cohort for a particular sector?
So, Bhagavati, my strategy as a manager, or you can say, always have been to go into all spheres like we have been doing since 2 years. Understand your strengths, your core capabilities that we are actually doing. So when I'm saying today deep tech, so that has been one of the identified sectors which we have come across. And maybe after 3-4 months, when you talk to me, I'll be very specific with the sector also. So we have been looking into space tech also. We have been looking to many more things, which I think will be too much to speak out here. But yeah, so we maybe, and we are ones who love to work in collaborations, because we don't believe that any startup, we just as an incubator, we can provide all the support. So I'm always open for any kind of collaboration. And this is today where I'm sitting here in this conversation, it's one of the tasks so I'm happy to collaborate with Headstart also and talking to you guys. So we can definitely set up a meeting after this, or we can connect.
I think
Thanks a
Gautam,
lot.
Taha, Mukesh, everyone's like smiling ear to ear that two of our incubators are talking to each other and working together. I think it's fabulous. Okay, I have to be a bit of a time master, and thank you, Shiba. I think on this note, we will get our next speaker on board, Bhagavati, who you're already recognized here. Thank you, Shiba. Hi, Bhagavati. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your wonderful question. And I love this community first values that Headstart and everybody who Headstart works with like support. So I'm absolutely excited to hear from you. If you don't mind telling us a little bit. I don't know much about Odisha in terms of the startup ecosystem, so maybe we could start somewhere there. And if you could just bring us up to speed with what your institution's about.
So there are a few, very highlights from Odisha nowadays has come that we had supplied oxygen to rest of India in phase, this lockdown, phase 2 of the COVID. And number 2 is Odisha is the state who has supported hockey and now is supporting rugby for next 5 years from the national team. Fine, that's Odisha there on the eastern coast of India. And we have been vocal nowadays to connect to the rest of India and world. We are open. We want to grow like rest of India grows, and we are putting all our efforts to that. I'll share my PPT for the presentation for 5 minutes or 7 minutes like that. So I would again thank Headstart for getting a very smooth in to this network without letting us feel any sort of you want to be part of this network, you do this, you do that. No, through individual conversations, through events, through things like that, we have been very much slipped into this network, which we are feeling very privileged being in. Thank you, Headstart, once again. Can you make me part of for sharing this screen? I'm not able to. So hi, this is CGU, C.V. Raman Global University, who is a state university in the state. We are just a university 2 years old, and we have been a 25 years institute in Odisha, leading engineering in the state. There are a couple of top 5 institutes we are there in Odisha. And recently in last 2 years, we have been awarded with 2 incubators, one from Nidhi TBI and one from Niti Aayog AIC. This is a result of the involvement into research and development, skill, and all that for last 2 decades by this university. So that's ripping now. So we believe in making the feasible and achievable these tag of the centers. We want to convert this incubator, both the incubators, we call it a CGU incubators, our next destination for the manufacturing startups in India. The key sector focus that we are looking at are agriculture and food processing under the Nidhi TBI, where we have the facilities for testing laboratories, for agriculture, for food testing, very equipped industry standard fab labs, market access, because India, this part of India is very much into agri-tech and food processing. So you have the market, you have the problems to validate, you have the also investors into the sectors, this part of India. So, and also the, in terms of saying the fab labs, you can make your machines, you can prepare your prototype to MVP. Also, you can have your limited series production in the campus. The incubator do have all the facilities to help you until you come with your assets as a company. In the same other, AIC, we deal in manufacturing using advanced technologies. also have focused recently into future mobility. And as a state staff of Eastern India, we also are looking into mining and the advanced technologies that can be intervening into mining, looking for collaborations to explore more into mining. And again, for mining, it's a problem and market access both are lying in Eastern India, and we are fiercely into that. For this manufacturing also, we have test laboratories, we have validation laboratories, we have industry grade fabrication laboratories, market access and local clients and funding opportunities in mining specifically. We offer everything specific from idea to MVP, mentors, network access, seeds from AIC and TBI, and trying with various investment network, angels and CSRs. As I said, we have more than 25 center of excellences who are into all the sectors of engineering and product development. Starting from additive manufacturing, we have a huge hub for additive manufacturing, testing and testing for food, testing for water. Water Tech Lab is one of the famous laboratories in India, from where the first global world skill winner has come up. India's first world skill winner from this Water Tech Lab. We have Food Tech Lab, we have IoT and PCB laboratories, we have drone and IoT, we have cyber security, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, AR and VR, what you want at an industry level, not just the four walls and roof and equipments. We also are equipping very fast all the stakeholders into all these COEs, starting from a freelancer or student innovator or student techie, a project consultant, industry people, all sort of stakeholders, forums into the particular sectors. We are stuffing into all the center of excellence. So when a startup comes in, it becomes a part of this, part of all these forums. And while he grows with the product, he gets a network around him who supports in a bigger project, who supports in validating it, who supports to give a momentum to his product and kind of that. These are the glimpses of various labs that we have in our campus. More to so, I don't have it here. This is the first cohort that we had taken a year back, and we have a couple of 4 to 5 success stories coming in. This Mo ambulance that you see, this is a Uberization of ambulance. This has raised 50 lakhs just last week. Just a moment. This is organoponics, which is giving an agri-tech solution, which has established itself with a sustainable business model, have tasted the product with more than 1,000 customers, with more than 5,000 acres of land, and he is more to scale up for his production and supplying more. He's working in the maritime countries where most of aquaculture is happening and supplied to the rest of the world. Yuva Life is a biotech BIRAC grantee, and Bonvi is one who I'm going to discuss in a bit more detail in the next slide. Bonvi is one of the second startups in India who is dealing in making flying taxis and flying cargos who would kind of lift more than 150 kgs of weight. And Bonvi has joined us just 6 months back, and he is ready with the prototype to test. And he has also led his network to Finland market access through Headstart, and also a little bit exposure to Bangalore investment ecosystem. Gautam has been very integral part of this startup to take it to the next level. Thank you so much. These are standing partners. We have been partnering with various people to pull national startup to the state and make them use of this huge establishment that are ready to have your product. You don't need to go out of the campus, and you can make almost 90% of your product development inside the campus, having mentors onboarded, physical and virtual in the campus. These are the various sectors we are looking at to fund our startups. We are recruiting around 50 startups by December into all the sectors those are said above, and we are trying up to get them funded by in the first quarter of their onboarding to the cohorts. Thank you so much. That's from my side.
Thank you, Bhagavati. We have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Thank you for that thorough introduction into the world, into the universe of and the reality that you guys have managed to create in Orissa. And kudos in terms of being able to identify such wonderful opportunities and take it to the next level. A quick question for you is in terms of same question I asked Shiba. You've also been in the incubation space for, I think, over a decade. You come from academia, and then you've been supporting startups for a while. In your visibility in this growth and the journey that you've had, what's something that you would wish you'd known earlier that that could have helped you perhaps maybe do things I mean, you know what to do today, but as you were figuring it out, what were some of the challenges that you had? And you'd also mentioned that you're launching food tech as something that was brought up to me. So if you could share a little bit about what is the wisdom that you'd like to give, say, your junior self today, based on what you know, and we can dive into a little bit more conversation. Yeah.
So I'm pretty lucky and privileged enough to be there in an ecosystem where things are not yet set, and I'm getting all the rights and privilege and freedom, liberty to work on all those problems. And maybe with all your corporations, we'll be setting it around by 2025. That's a very good opportunity that I'm growing on with. And as you said, I have been into academics, and before that, I had worked with a couple of corporates like Perkins and Cummins Engines. No doubt. During the academics, I used to give always hardware projects to my students, and somewhere like 2012-13, I started pushing them. It's very difficult to this kind of environment to push a student to substitute entrepreneurship to its placement. Okay, so it's very tough. So you have to give them that boost. You be a part of the company. And realize them, you push funds even sometimes, like to starting from registering a company, starting from pumping something into the prototype, giving them for a trip and all that. Ease them out that they have missed out the placement, and they are with you to support themselves as an entrepreneur. That's very daunted task to convince students. So in the first 3-4 years, I have converted out of my BTech projects to be startups. There are around 7 to 8 startups out of my BTech projects who are yet existing in the ecosystem. Few are in Bangalore, few are there in Odisha, who are doing good and great. They are into predictive maintenance of industrial processes. They are into automated, what do you call, hydroponic systems. And there are a lot of other things, they are into. So that in this detailed growth of the startups, I got to know what are the different hurdles that we are seeing in as an ecosystem, and we are lacking everything in this ecosystem, and we are joining stones together with the startup. We treat the startups as friends, so they don't leave with frustration. We share their frustration, and it happened like so. In all the 7-8 startups that I had started with my students, I had to skip the equities later, so they feel like, oh, this should happen. The faculty shouldn't be so thirsty for the equities, but they led us to go wherever we should be. So that made me more interested to walk into the ecosystem, and it's very nice to see that people are waking up, people are joining hands. We are agreeing on common issues, and we are coming together for Odisha, and the ecosystem and the government is also very much supportive. We are coming up with the version 2 of the startup policy, which is very adaptive and kind of helping out the startups. So all these are happening around, and sounds good. And we are getting help from other established hubs through your networks, through other programs happening around, giving me a confidence that that by 25 we would match and would also let you the Eastern hub of startup from India with some very specific, sectors of, engineering or technology, deep tech kind of that. We are working on it. and the results yet to be achieved. Thank you so much.
Sir, just two questions for you. That you're launching 2 tracks right now. One is around food tech and the other is around agri tech. What is this venture challenge? Can you quickly talk about it? And also we have some questions. Maybe we'll take it up in the chat while the next speaker comes up. But yes.
Yeah, so like we just, as I said, the ecosystem is not well developed in Odisha. So we are pulling examples from all over India. And so even like we pick results, innovations, also the national innovation, so that we make an amalgamation of all innovations that are possible from a sector, that the ecosystem is yet to learn what kind of innovations are possible from a sector. The sector expert is gates and all that. So it is very, a right intention to pool startups from all over India and giving them a house of production, house of development in Odisha. There are 2 ways. We have got everything in food tech and agri-tech, starting from market problem, growth, investors, even support of mentors and prototyping MVP. Go-to-market is next door. You are going to validate your product and sell it out. So we welcome all food tech and agri-tech startups around. We are taking through a Will Grow program also. So we just want to maximize all these limited series production facilities there in the campus, testing facilities there in the campus, mentors there around in the cloud, to help you to become a very self-sustainable business model to attract investors. Like we don't need to struggle to get ready for the investor parameters. And we offer you at a very affordable modules. You just don't need to come as idea or prototype and we would take you to MVP or go to market. You can come in, go to market, go to scale up. You can come in prototype, go to MVP and go to market. You can come in idea and go after MVP. We are pretty flexible about it. And
in Mumbai, we have this catchphrase ad for SL World. SL World mein rahunga main, ghar kabhi nahi jaunga main. That's what's coming to my mind as I hear you, because you make me feel safe. You make me feel like you got my back. So I think that's a very important experience, because as a startup, like you've got pressure, and as a student, and especially in the kind of environment we are in, it's like beta job kar le, tere ko startup kyun karna hai. There's all of this kind of pressure. So absolutely kudos for the work that you're doing. We have a question for you, sir. We'll have to take it up in the chat. We're running slightly late, and I think it will start affecting the rest of our speakers. But thank you so much for your wonderful heart with which you've been supporting startups, and I wish you all the very best. And thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm going to just drop the question that Kashyap has for you. I don't know if you can see the Q&A. Yeah, so maybe you could respond to him there, and we'll just recognize our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me around. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. Okay, great. If I could invite Professor Narayan to join us.
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Hi, hi Professor Narayan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. And you? And the Headstart
doing
team?
Well. Doing well. I could use a filter coffee. Sorry, I'm just
We could offer you one, yeah, even virtual.
I've been to IIT Madras. We with Headstart itself, we did this Red Bull event, and we had this whole Red Bull Basement University campaign. So had some very interesting experiences.
Green filter coffee memories.
Yes. In your campus outside the gate, it was fun. But thank you so much, Narayanan, for joining. If you would like to just do a quick introduction about yourself, about IIT Madras's startup incubation activities, and then we could have a chat.
Yeah, I would, certainly. Thank you. So before that, it's a pleasure being here, sharing this Allied platform with the fellow incubators. And, we at the IIT Madras Bio Incubator, it's myself, Narayanan, and then my couple of other teammates, Dr. Priya Ilambardi, and then Mr. Arivoli. So we are extremely glad to, present ourselves in this platform. And kudos to the Headstart team, especially Gautam, Vanya, Mukesh, and all of you for very strategically planning, systematically implementing and meticulously executing this series of events in Startup September. And it's not a joke. And then to run all these, dynamic activities day in and out, and then to throw it out to the whole ecosystem. That's something extremely adorable, and it's inspiring as well. So with this startup note, I would just like to share my screen to quickly go through what we exactly do. I hope that my screen is visible. And yes, so we here at the IT Madras Bioincubator, as you see here, we are more focused sector-specific incubator that's focusing more on life sciences and biotechnology-oriented startup domains. And we are located physically at the IT Madras campus, close to the IT Madras campus, and then supported by DBT, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India's BIRAC scheme. And we are one of these BioNest cluster as well as the Tamil Nadu BioNest cluster series of incubators who are open to supporting the incoming startups in the area of life sciences. So I'll quickly go through the focus, the approach where we project our incubation model and our unique selling point with the deep biotech focus and a couple of success stories. And then I'll also show you the road ahead in the next 5 minutes. And then we'll end up with a virtual tour thanks to this pandemic. Otherwise, it would be exciting to meet you all up here. So with the focus, as the logo itself suggests, so we try to nurture the bio-entrepreneurship here in India. So with the goal of promoting biotechnology and then excelling as a world-class bioincubator, all moving towards this Atmanirbhar Bharat dream of India, And then with the self-reliance and sustainability, which becomes very important for deep tech-oriented sectors, including biotechnology. And over there, we focus on a series of domains ranging from industrial, agri and food, healthcare, which in turn spans diagnostics and therapeutics, and some green technologies and animal-oriented and environmental-oriented, not sparing any of the areas of biotechnology, so to say. And then with all these backup areas, so we are physically located at the IT Madras Research Park, which is India's MIT-based innovation-driven ecosystem, which spans around 11.2 acres of land and a workable area of close to over 1 million square feet, where there are MSMEs, there are industries, and there are companies and startups, academic sectors, research centers, and whatnot. So as you see here, it provides a beehive for attracting the whole bag of stakeholders in the ecosystem, thereby providing a mutual and bilateral or multilateral, so to say, series of action plans that get executed in a very strategic manner. So with all this, we provide the basic infrastructure that needed for biotechnology startup, be it the open office spaces or individual cabinets or a series of equipments, which is spanning again around different areas of life sciences, starting from molecular biology, cell culture, BSL cabinets, microbiology, and whatnot. So with all this background, how exactly we operate here? So we support starting from pre-incubation to incubation and close to technology transfer and scale-up facilities. So as many of these startups, as well as the incubators would have realized, the most important pitfalls or the loopholes in an incubation model is exactly the transition points, what we see here. For instance, to move from the pre-incubation to incubation, and again from incubation to scale-up. And it is exactly at these points where we try to handhold the startups more, thereby providing them, strategies to identify their early adopters, perfect customer segments, etc. in this space, and then moving on, providing the infrastructural support they might need, and in terms of various mentoring, be it the technical, business, and whatnot, and also providing them the support in terms of the funding. And we are central government, BIRAC's a big associate partner, and state government, Tamil Nadu's EDII knowledge partner, etc., which makes us easier for us to operate, with closer outlooks and broader perspectives towards the future of the startup, so to say. And we also offer virtual and co-incubation model of late. Once again, thanks to this pandemic, which has opened new avenues for various other people to get benefited from all this system. So it's just for people, who are outside the sector to have an idea of how the facilities look like when we say so-called facility. So they range from, culturing microbes and cell culture, testing whether a sample is infected or not, etc. And then these are the range of equipments, and we have around 120 plus big and small equipment that runs to a tune of few crores of rupees, which individuals startups might find it difficult to afford in their early stages. And with all these, so we have managed to create over the past 5-6 years around 120 plus jobs with a very minimal and lean manpower, so to say, and then with its own IPs that we have generated, and 5 of our companies have graduated out to the market. And as you see here, the number of startups that a deep tech like biotechnology could support, though is minimal, we see to that the output becomes reasonably maximal. And 2 of the companies, as you see, make revenue of over 1 crore of rupees. And some of these products, for example, to attack the COVID pandemic, recently ICMR certified diagnostic kit by our incubator Yatum, and then some veterinary products by our incubator Sysgen, and some nutraceutical products from our incubator Thivanam, etc., or some markstones in that. And then here you see that at another company, just to minimize the overall conceptualized, area of miniaturization. So instead of throwing tons and tons of synthetic fertilizers onto the land, they have just miniaturized microbes that can be entrapped, thousands and millions of microbes that could be entrapped in the small area, what you saw now. And instead of putting on, bags of NPK fertilizers onto the land, all this goes easier to help them under. And likewise here, the mosquito trapping device. So what exactly captures all this pheromone-based mosquitoes? So the mosquito comes from outside, and then it's going to enter into the device, thereby catching it. So with all these, where we actually try to go is, we try to expand our activities in terms of incubation, sponsored research, where we also want to build up accelerator models, which is very important for sectors like biotechnology, and with some refined focus areas, because, now it's the time where you should also be not a master of all trades, but jack of all trades, but master of none. So in that, we try to focus specifically on industrial biotechnology, expand our healthcare facilities, and introduce newer areas like marine, Chennai being, the coastal bioeconomy hub. And there we try to strengthen our manpower. We try to also act as service provider to industry. This becomes important because the startups have to look up into a role model. The industries are the future goals where they want to go to. So we want to attract these industries to provide a hands-on experience also to the startups, to interact with them, to have coffee with them, and then to come up with newer solutions. And we want to, most importantly, reach out to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in the nation. Thereby, this so-called constrained facilities are let open in a free flow manner, and which also encompasses some knowledge transfer, support to other new upcoming incubators, not excluding the scientific social responsibility we have. So with all this, we have managed to gain some visibility in the sector and offer a wide range of capacity building activities. And this is the time we think that we should all join hands to further the ecosystem way far ahead. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm not sure if the Headstart organizers would find time to play a short video. If yes, then we go ahead with that. Else, we can directly take up the questions.
We definitely can play that, I think.
Excellent. I'll just try to stop sharing the screen. Great. Because, in this pandemic season, to have an idea to enter into the bioincubator while the video is being played, I'm just backing up with some audio. So to enter up into the bioincubator and to see how exactly the equipment operate, and then what kind of facilities all these talk about, this we can see in the video now.
Hi, I'm Gohan Jayaraman, professor in the Department of Biotechnology at IIT Madras and the previous faculty in charge of the IIT Madras Bioincubator. The Bioincubator was established in 2014 for incubating startup companies in the IITM Research Park with complete financial support from BIRAC to the tune of about 11 crores. These funds were used to build a 10,000 square feet facility as well as for manpower and operational expenses. The state-of-the-art wet lab in the bioincubator consists of facilities for molecular biology, cell culture, bioprocess engineering, and biomolecular analytics. The bioincubator is part of the IIT Madras Incubation Cell, which has been consistently recognized as the best university-based incubation system in the country. We have incubated nearly 20 companies in diverse areas of biotechnology, ranging from biodevices, diagnostics, biosimilars, agrobiotech, nutraceuticals, and computational biology. More than 50% of the graduated companies have been able to obtain venture capital and are well on their way to commercializing their product. The bioincubator has also supported the establishment of the Early Translational Accelerator, again with BIRAC support, for commercializing ideas with commercial potential from academic institutions and transferring them to industry. The Department of Biotechnology at IIT Madras has excellent research infrastructure, faculty, and students which can complement and support the activities of the bioincubator. As the current head of the department, I will be able to add an extra synergy between the activities of the bioincubator and the department in terms of encouraging more faculty and students to establish startups, as well as building a platform for industry-academia collaborations within the bioincubator. I'm sure this will take us to a completely different level.
Seatbelts is a company that's focused on novel peptide therapeutics for metabolic and neurological diseases. We are currently working on diabetes and neuropathic pain. The BI has played a key role in supporting us and helping us grow as a company.
I've been encouraged by this IIT biotechnology bioincubation setup in IIT Madras to proceed with the solution. So they offered me an incubation here. They offered me a space to sit and work on for, and they are also helping bootstrapping to get some initial funds, and with which we started working on to create work towards our goal, creating our own product in that area.
This is Smita, the current faculty in charge of IIT Madras Bioincubator. As you can see in the beautiful backdrop, IIT Madras Bioincubator is housed in one of the country's first and best startup ecosystems. Here at IIT Madras Research Park, we offer our startups a well-integrated support system which is crucial for its journey from ideation stage to market. Due to its strategic location, IIT Madras Bioincubator has an inherent connect and involvement with the faculty and students of IIT Madras, which play active role as either mentors, founders, advisors, or even entrepreneurs. We heartily welcome all the budding entrepreneurs to take advantage of this rich ecosystem conducive to convert one's innovative ideas to reality.
Great. Thanks for playing that.
Narayan, thank you for that wonderful presentation and the beautiful video. We would like to know about the two challenges that are being launched by IITM, which is around Smart Protein and the BIRAC grant. If you could share a little bit about that, and questions, we'll have to take it on chat.
Yeah, sure. Great. I'll just very briefly tell you. So, amidst the various outreach events that we are planning currently, the one that's compatible with the Startup September, which we are also hosting together with Headstart, this couple of events. So the first one is Smart Protein Innovation Challenge that is hosted by Good Food Institute of India. So this basically attracts new upcoming entrepreneurs and startups in the area of creating smart proteins and newer type of food and food products that are actually acting as substitutes to meat-based products. So there are many startups that want to build up on these areas, and then they can take part in this challenge, and then we'll throw them open with this infrastructure and all other facilities that will be needed. And the second one, so to say, is this big grants, which is made open by BIRAC from the Department of Biotechnology of India, and we being the big associate partner, we always launch these series of big outreach events, and then we seriously conduct a set of these events to attract aspiring biotechnology and life science entrepreneurs. And the current one, we are hosting it together happily with Headstart, and which will get featured in the coming week. So we'll throw up all this information in the advert, and then all are most welcome to take part in these events. Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Narayanan. I wish you all the very best, and I love your energy. I think it's very infectious, and I'll take you up on the coffee offer whenever I'm in Madras next.
Pleasure, most welcome. See you then, yeah? I'll catch up with the other players now.
Divya, sorry, that's very enthusiastic, Divya, but like I've known Divya, and it's so happy to see a head starter leading an incubator. Can we have you with us here?
Yes.
Hi, Divya. This is the first time I'm seeing you with your face. We've spoken on the phone, but we've never seen. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. So, sorry, we are running a little bit late, but you could quickly give us a brief introduction about yourself, about the incubator that you're leading, and then we can have a chat.
Sure. Should I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Right. Is it visible?
It is, Divya. You can go ahead.
Perfect. So I represent AIC Manipal University, Jaipur, and the journey started back in 2018 when out of around 2,600 applications for AICs, we were one of those 35 to get selected right at the first phase of the AIC's evaluation, and that fortunately gave us a grant sanction of rupees 10 crores. So this is just to introduce you to the broad incubation funnel, the approach that we have. We cover the entire spectrum of students, professionals, faculty members, entrepreneurs to support in their journey of innovation and entrepreneurship. And right from school students through ATLs, through supporting ATLs, we have multiple innovation challenges at university level and hackathons at industry level to keep filtering the pipeline to our incubation programs that enables a journey for entrepreneurs from MVP to market, and then a narrower funnel to accelerate their journey into growth and investments. And that's the broad funnel that we follow. We have defined our mission in this single line, that enabling leaps in innovation through tact. And what we intend doing through this is we want to partner with corporates and enable connections of corporates with startups. And in that tact comes talent, advisory, technology, and capital, wherein the talent and technology can be brought in by the incubator, that is us, and the corporate partner, we expect the mentoring or the advisory and the capital support from them so that the startups can grow forward. This is the executive core executive team, me and Puneet Datta, driving this incubator forward with Puneet Datta leads the operations of the incubation center, and there are multiple advisors representing the investment vertical, community strategy, regional ecosystem, government grants, and obviously technology. So
Divya,
we
sorry,
are quite.
could you drag the Zoom screen share prompt a little bit to the side? It's blocking the readability of your slides. Perfect. Sorry. Thank you.
No issues, no issues. So as you see, there are a bunch of head starters, very, very senior head starters supporting us. Headstart has been a pillar of support in my journey and as well as this incubator's journey, very deep. These are a few notable mentors representing multiple industries: healthcare, emerging tech, sustainable design, corporate innovation, biomedical, AB InBev. I mean, again, corporate innovation. Then there are notable partners like AWS, Microsoft, IBM Cloud, Canva, uh, MathWorks, My Operator, who help us support startups in a very tangible manner by giving the due credits, the monetary benefits, which are very much essential in the early stage of their journeys. And partners like Headstart, Thai Rajasthan, Marwari Catalysts, Startup Oasis, uh, uh, Web of Global Limited, who help us build that network to support these startups. These are a few key achievements that we have had in the last couple of years. These are a few events. With the paucity of time, I'm just really summarizing this. So these are a few events. We really tinkered well in terms of a startup showcase event, wherein we enabled 3D virtual startup showcase for the innovative products that have been built at our incubation center. And this was one of its first kind in this region. And multiple hackathons and various ecosystem building events with Headstart and other partners. This was one event with Global Silicon Valley. It was a 7-week startup bootcamp led by Global Silicon Valley, GSV, which we facilitated in the country. And we, in order to build the ecosystem within the campus, within the university, being academia based, we host multiple entrepreneurship development programs regularly with different departments and faculties, because this being a multidisciplinary university, it has almost all the streams: engineering, science, management. So to build the ecosystem within each department, we host regular entrepreneurship development programs. This is some impact that we have enabled for the community, for the society, for the enabling the solutions to reach the grassroots. During COVID in 2020, we supported our startups to develop 3D printed face shields and distribute amongst government departments here in Rajasthan. And in 2021, we hosted this Grand Innovation Challenge with Headstart for 3 months, and wherein this has been the impact that we have generated. So while talking about focus areas, the primary focus areas as an incubator based out of Manipal Group, Manipal being very strong in healthcare, the second in the country only after Apollo. Human and environmental health happens to be one of our strong areas, and we want to leverage that to support startups in that domain. And there are most of our startups fall in that sector. And one really key area that we are building our expertise on is augmented reality, virtual reality, and design, wherein we have built the infrastructure, the lab around it. Now we are continuously building the ecosystem so that we can support startups in that domain. So what we also want to do with other incubation partners like this Headstart Hub Alliance is we want to act as the horizontal partner in terms of enabling support in AR and VR. Because as we are moving, as we are in a virtual world, we see more and more applications of AR and VR across industries. These are a few of our startups. Piltover Technologies, one of our flagship startups, who has developed a 3D printed prosthetic arm, very socially relevant, as they have brought down the cost from multiple lakhs to only 15,000 rupees. And this is helping a lot of people afford this technology, which otherwise they weren't able to afford. Jewel AR, another crazy story. Sunil Panwar, a college dropout from Jodhpur, is now developing a virtual try-on of jewelry products and virtual try-on app for jewelry products, and he started serving jewelry stores across Rajasthan state and gradually moving the market to other areas as well. So it's a SaaS-based AR-enabled platform for virtual try-on of jewelry products, and from Jodhpur. Open Vision Systems. So these guys are using computer vision technology and machine learning to enable zero defect manufacturing for all the industries, all the where there is a lot of manufacturing that goes on, and they have their clients, various clients in North India, NCR and Rajasthan being their primary market centers as of now, and further expanding their market reach through our efforts. Malawalas, another founder from Jaipur, Prakash Jangir, what he did, he devised a solution where they use the flowers, the waste flower garlands to develop incense sticks. And they started selling across the state of Rajasthan. We enabled their connection with some organized retailers like Rana King in this state, and they have been able to get some traction out of that connection. Asim Shakti has been another startup specializing in women's wear. They have developed a patented instant wear, functional wear for women, and for that they are training marginalized women to develop these products, and they work out of Mumbai. So this virtual era helped us support startups from across the country, whereas before we were focusing only on this region. Bug Base is a very new concept. It is India's first consolidated bug bounty platform and started by students. They're just second year students representing Manipal University Jaipur and Manipal Academy of Higher Education Karnataka. These two Manipal group universities, founders representing those universities coming together to develop this platform, and so happy to note that they have been able to get first-hand testimonial from none other than Mr. Amitabh Kant, CEO of Niti Aayog. This is some highlights of our infrastructure. It really gives a lot of goosebumps. I hope it does to you as well, Kiran. You have been leading events, pre-COVID times, physical events across the country. This used to be jam-packed with more than 300 seating capacity, and our AR and VR lab that we are gradually utilizing for helping startups and students to build products and solutions around that. This is some highlights of our road ahead, where we want to intend to go forward. We want to make majority of our businesses of the startups sustainable. Currently, we are supporting 23 startups. We want to support 50 startups over the next 12 months, and IP-led entrepreneurship will be one of our key focus areas going forward, as we see a strong upcoming decade in this area. And as I mentioned, corporate and open innovation, where we want to partner with corporates to support startups. That is a key focus which we have already started doing. And investment support, we want to enable investment support to our startups up to a tune of 5 crores over the next 1 year. And we want to execute at least one CSR enabled program for our startup community. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. That was so wonderful, and I see so much this patterns coming up where every panelist so far has said that there has been something new, some kind of pivot in approach that has led to another opportunity of connecting with people outside of their geography. And you guys have been doing some fabulous work, both with Covisolve, thinking quick on your feet and deploying your resources to support those initiatives. And I mean, you're doing AR, VR, and you're doing so many very interesting things, Divya. Tell us a little bit about your secret sauce, man. Was it your roots with Headstart that helped you?
I was coming to that. One of the secret sauces have been that, and the other, the team here who have been doing work on ground, who've been setting up the foundation, wherein I only represent the incubator across stakeholders and partners, but the groundwork, all the backend work, because that's the heavy lifting that's required. So I think the team, the advisors, and yes, I mean that community background. I mean from Headstart, these three I would say on that.
Amazing, Divya. Divya, I wish I could drag this on further, but I'm getting a little bit of flack because we are running a little late. But it's so lovely to see you, man. And thank you for sharing your story with us. If anyone has any questions, Divya's around, and Divya's always accessible. That's something that I think every head starter you can say for. So please feel free to reach out to him with any questions you have. And thank you so much. So without any more delay, I'm gonna invite our next speaker. Can you please come on board, Anubhav? Hi, Anubhav.
Hey, how are you, sir? Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Listening, I mean, all of very interesting things that came today. And we are also in line with what's going on across the incubators and all that. So thank you for having us here.
Thank you, Anubhav. I feel like, this is like one of those award ceremonies on stage. Like, jaldi jaldi aao, award do, photo nikalo, but COVID time, we are having a talk also. So it's kind of, this is a very interesting format. It's the first time for us as well. So sorry for the rushing around. But please,
tell me how much time I have according to
Dada, you take as much time as you need.
No. I'm just asking.
Under your like to say 5-7 minutes, if you could finish your presentation, and then we could have a very quick chat. I'm trying to skim us so that we can connect with everyone.
Arzu or Mukesh, someone can please make Sai also the host so that he can present the slides. Though I had deep tech, but I'm very bad at these technology glitches that happen here. So I was like, I'm not taking any chances as it is. We have very limited time. So Sai, can you start the presentation, please? So yeah, I mean, we established. I mean, the incubator was founded in 2008. One of the oldest and the largest academic incubator in India, and since then it has been an amazing journey from the early 2008. So the whole idea to open an incubator was to see converting our students' ideas into scalable businesses. But as it is, it's very difficult for a 21-22-year-old to decide to reject the placement and go on an entrepreneurship journey, or to basically, and the whole mindset around that. So we saw that not much was happening from the student side. So we opened it for the nation across. Anyone can work around their ideas and can work from triple IT and take all the help. So that has been the focus. So till early 2012, and so we had some 60 plus startups, and then later on we were recognized as PBI and has been funded multiple times by various government agencies. So this has been the journey so far. We created our own seed fund, and then we were investing in bunch of startup. One of the major activities was, if you know, T-Hub, which is one of the leading incubators in India, was seeded by CIE and Nalsar, ISB, and Government of Telangana coming together in 2014. And then later on, we shifted our focus to very early stage. T-Hub takes care of a little later stage startups. We take care of very early stage, maybe MVP or initial POC done. So that is where we take in. So currently there are 3 incubators, Deep Tech being the oldest, which started in 2008. Then later on we went. I mean, after T-Hub happened, we shifted our focus to few accelerators, and then back in 2018, and then in 2019 we were recognized as a BioNest also. So there is a medtech incubator also, and then Niti Aayog gave funding to our social tech incubator, which is an Atal Incubation. So CI is a big umbrella under which there are 3 incubators. All 3 incubators are run by one governing body. So we said that 3 entities shouldn't work in silos, and all should work together. And so that is how the incubators are structured here. So our focus, we take from pre-incubation stage, then seeding, acceleration, and incubation is the whole model. So from the connector side to from validating the idea, then taking those ideas into seeing how they can be converted into product, and whether it's a scalable business or not. So from at very early stage we start handling those ideas. So we do, for our accelerator, which is called Avishkar, we have a quick video so that I won't detail much. So there our focus is to see how many deep tech startups we can enable through our research lab. So for us, the definition of deep tech comes the areas where triple ITs, deep tech labs and research labs, the professors and the research groups can help these early stage companies in building their product, and through the research advisory on the tech side, and also I mean, for strategy and other things we have. Headstart also very well supports us with scouting the right startup, bringing the right startup to this kind of support. So from funding to research support, that is. So would like to take a minute or two and tell that our focus right now is more on research translation. How many deep technology academic researches can be translated into a product? So recently, one of our startup, 2 of our startups did very good. One is which came out of research. So one was into a computer vision research, and the startup name is Matchday.ai. The whole idea was there is no company which does sports data very well. So how a player in badminton, say, for instance, at what angle a player hits the cock, and where exactly how many steps they are taking, and all those data points which can help a coach and a player to understand their game and refine it well, was one of the researchers of Professor C.V. Jawahar, who is the Dean of R&D for Triple IT and very well known in the computer vision space. So we took his research in our product labs, which is basically the entity created to do research translations. So we do a entrepreneurial residence program where the deep tech research is taken, and that person, like a project manager, tries to get it into a product form and eventually take it to the market. And once that translation is happened, takes place, the EIR becomes the founder and the professor becomes the co-founder for the company as a mentor co-founder. So that those translation are the ones which we are focusing. So at the POC level also, it was very well all over India. The Premier Badminton League that happened by Star Sports, all the matches where has you use this technology and this startup as a POC. The other one was Subtle.ai. The whole idea there, it is intelligent document system. So like you can upload a 3,500 page or 4,000 page document, and then you can ask questions to the platform itself. Say for instance, it's a legal deed or something like there were over generation, there were 4 or 5 owners of the property, and also you can directly question who owned this property, just like how you talk to a human being, you can talk to the technology in that way. So that is all that came out of Professor Manish's research. And same EIR model, first it got productized and then taken to market. So SBI gave the first POC. All over India, all the branches of SBI will be using it. So we are seeing that there is lot of demand in that way when deep tech research is commercialized, and lot of corporates and big entities are coming and giving opportunities to these early scale companies which are into, at the product stage itself. These are few of our alumni startup. You might have heard it's all over the news that Revos yesterday raised $4 million. So we are getting an exit from Revos, and DreamView is into 360-degree camera, this thing. So these are bunch of our companies. In Storied also recently gave us an exit. So for us, 2021 has been pretty good, where we are getting a lot of exits from the startups that we had initially invested in back in 2015-16. So that's the alumni base of our portfolio and all these companies where we have invested so far. So now see the whole value addition chain comes like how much impact you are creating for the society, and how these startups are helping to solve the problem. So now it all starts with few investments, handholding in the initial stage, and then when these companies grow, they do multifold growth, and then they go on to raise multiple round outside, create jobs. So the impact is the more you create these early stage startups and handle them, the better it is. So I have taken approximately 9 minutes so far. How many slides we have? 5?
We just have a video to present.
That's it. Good. I'm in time. So this is our videos. I just played for everyone, and then I'm open to questions. I won't bore much people.
While the video is coming on, you have a very quirky t-shirt, man. Do they let you into college with that?
So Triple IT doesn't have a dress code and all that way. So we can come in any form we want, unless we are just dressed.
Just give me a second.
Oh, it will happen. I thought it won't happen. That is the reason I pulled my hand back. I'm not doing that video thing because it will have some technical glitches. So these are, on my background, if it is visible properly, OJUS is the BioNest, and a CI is a synonym to the deep tech incubator. So under CI, all the Atal Incubation, OJUS, and the deep tech, all these entities come. So, and yeah, we are one of the Headstart hubs also. There are very few incubators who got selected in the first cohort of Headstart hub.
And also a disclaimer, Anubhav has been the city lead for Hyderabad and with Headstart for quite a few years.
Yeah.
So kudos running on, I think we've got 2 Headstarters or maybe more now. Let's see, as in the incubations.
So this is our video.
One of the most important things, and this is what we see missing in most startups, the market clarity. They have an idea. It's not that the idea is not workable or the opportunity doesn't exist, but clarity in terms of exactly why, who, and for what will they use the product is often missing. The other thing we see from tech startups is like, the tech can be a distraction from the well. Tech is a serious enabler. Tech also can be a distraction. The technology has to be focused. Use the technology to solve the right market problem. And that focus, what is the technology that's required to solve what problem and why, also is often missing in early stage startups. So this has to be accelerated. What might take by themselves maybe a couple of years can be done in 6 to 9 months. Those trial and errors in a very accelerated fashion. And that is what we believe is a very critical need that most startups have. And that is the genesis for our Avishkar Accelerator.
Being a part of Avishkar has been of incredible support to our company. Due to their mentoring support, we were able to really fine-tune our business strategies and market entry strategies, which was really helpful to our company.
for startups and researchers, finding customers who can actually use their technology or products and solve an important business problem is the toughest challenge for them. The intent of Avishkar program is to work with each startup individually and help co-create this entire go-to-market plan.
Being part of Avishkar, there were three real benefits which we saw. Firstly, tapping into the ecosystem of CIE and IIIT. Apart from that, we also got some really good advice with respect to go-to-market.
The Avishkar Accelerator provides a realistic and research-led approach in a happening sector such as the deep tech world. Strategy is often overlooked by founders because of their operational demands. These mentoring sessions enable you to focus on the most important parts of your journey.
We needed help on understanding what are the features that we needed of the product that we needed to focus on, and what kind of market that we need to sell this particular product to. During the different mentoring sessions that we had with Avishkar, I think we were able to get a much more razor focus on what is a product that we wanted to market, and also helped us to gain traction at a much faster rate.
We receive around 100 applications from across the world for our accelerator. Out of this, we only shortlist about 8 to 10 startups for our pitch day. Out of this whole lot, we only pick around 2 to 3 startups to be part of our cohort. Once the startup is selected into our cohort, they go through a 6 months intensive mentoring program, which involves mentoring for technology, for go-to-market strategy, and overall investment readiness of the startup.
We were the part of the third cohort of Avishkar. In the early days, we got a lot of business mentorship on how to go to market and how to get initial customers, which is really helpful coming from the Avishkar program. The first check in Dreamview came from IIIT via the Avishkar program. The initial check was really helpful for us to build a few initial prototypes and hire the first set of interns.
Startups in the language technology space, computer vision space, data sciences, any other broader aspect, all of these come under AI, any other aspects of AI, IoT, smart cities, Industry 4.0, any kind of automation, IoT-centered automation, and medical, a lot of possibilities where AI and IoT intersect, or devices intersect with medicine. So startups in this space, early stage startups that are about 6 to 12 months old, they just have their initial prototype built, have an understanding of what kind of market are they going to go after. Those are the ideal startups to apply. Please do apply, and in 6 months, we hope to accelerate you and get you kind of speeded up in your journeys.
Thank you, Sai. So just wanted to bring it to the notice of the audience. Professor Ramesh is one of the founders of Headstart Network, one of the 16 founders who started this very good initiative, working very closely, and all they started back in 2008. CI started, Headstart Network started. So we went parallel. The growth of Headstart and CI is almost parallel to each other, and Headstart has been a great support to us and in finding the right startup, because we struggle to get the right startups. You know, I mean, building website is also deep tech these days. So to get that right definition and help screening the right applications and all, Headstart has been immensely helpful for us. And I would suggest other incubators also to use Headstart for sourcing the right startups and getting the help to the right startups.
Thanks, Anubhav. Anubhav, I wish we had
time. I guess you are on mute.
Can you? Am I audible? Yeah. Anubhav, sorry, we are 10 minutes over time. I'd love to chat with you. I'll probably reach out to you separately. But if anyone has any questions, we'll have to take it in chat. And absolutely.
Yeah, I'm here.
And I love the narrative. I don't have to spin anything or weave anything. I think you've spoken my part too. Thanks, man. Appreciate you joining us and sharing the story of CIE, IIIT, and Avishkar. I would have to invite Nikhil, our next speaker, to join us. And hi, Nikhil. Sorry, thank you for your patience. And
perfectly fine.
Nikhil, the stage is yours, and we'll chat shortly after.
Yes, I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the Headstart team, especially Mukesh. So we are also one of the proud Headstart hubs, basically. I think very nascent Headstart hub, I would say. The incubation center, we are operationalized just in April 2021. We are based out of Bangalore. So just to give a brief overview of how the parent organization is and what sort of weightage that the organization gets. So we are what we call as the National Dairy Research Institute. So this is the premier and probably one of the oldest research organizations in dairy in India and probably in the world as well. We were established in 1923. The host institution will be celebrating its 100th birthday next year, basically. So from the past 100 years, this particular organization in Bangalore has been contributing to the growth of the dairy sector in the country. So statistics I'll just give. In terms of the offerings as to what we basically give to an entrepreneur in the dairy sector. Now, since we are the National Dairy Research Institute, we focus only and exclusively on the dairy sector. And when we say the dairy, we also have a very niche focus on the bovine milk, so that the bovine cattle is basically your cow, buffaloes, bisons, etc. So that's what we focus on. So now if you see, one of the major advantages that we have is the access to the farm and dairy animals. We have around 52 acres of farmland right in the center of Bangalore. And there are like 300 different breeds of cattle, both hybrid and then desi. So it's basically cows, buffaloes, bulls, etc. and all. We have a very small retail outlet that basically has around 75 to 100 footfall every day. So that's probably not every day. It's every post in the morning and in the evening. So that's probably 200. So I'm sorry for the figure there. So the outlet we will get access to the dairy outlet. So the initial pilot batch and the first marketability can be done with the dairy outlet that we have. Now, in terms of mentorship, one thing that we basically have is that there are like 24 scientist entrepreneurs basically here. So most of the scientists here have a technology that's either commercialized once or at least being commercialized. So they have a patent, but they understand the commercialization processes of each and every technology or the product that is being there in the market in terms of the dairy sector. So we have the so-called 24 resident entrepreneur scientists who can understand the differences and the variabilities between things, and they can basically help in tweaking a lot of product development and the business plan development. Now, there are also a lot of technologies that are available with us. So we have around 130 technologies that have been developed both here and in our headquarters. So these technologies are also readily available for a tech transfer. So instead of reinventing the wheel, if somebody wants to become an entrepreneur right away in the dairy sector, they can just come and buy a technology. We'll help in the translation to the commercial entity, and then you can set up a business enterprise for yourself. So where do we focus on? So the AIC focuses completely on the entire dairy value chain. So now if you know the dairy sector, almost 80% of the dairy sector is basically unorganized and only 20% is organized. And we are the largest producer of milk in the entire world. But then since most of the things are in the unorganized sector, there is a lot of scope for the startups to basically come and work in these areas. Now, say if you talk about farm input suppliers, now there are new feed technologies that can be used, and then milking, taking care of the dairy animals. So that's where your so-called industry, the IoT 4.0, industry 4.0 and things like that will come into play. Now, if you're talking about new feed technologies, there is a farmland here. You can grow your own crop. If you want to develop a new technology, say, for example, better bioavailable feed for the cattle, you can basically do that with us with the R&D that we have here. In terms of milk production, that's one focus area. So that's where most of the precision dairying and the cattle monitoring system and the cattle management systems come into play. And the veterinary technologies. So we have IVF, we have in vitro transfers, we have ovum transfer, we have artificial insemination. So all these things can also be worked out. New storage materials and methods for picking up milk and collection. So there's one BAG grantee. He was also one of the BRICS Award winner a couple of years ago, a PhD student with us at the NDRA here. So he's developed a new technology where pail is called a pail, so it's more like a bucket basically. So that is made of a phase change material. So it cools and then it heats up depending on the temperature and the quantity and the ingredients that are basically there. And we have milk processes as one of the focus areas. So that's where your entire value-added product development comes into play. So this is the area where you can place it as an FMCG product if you want to put it that way. So all your butters, cheeses, your specialty cheeses, your artisanal cheeses that most of the people see here, paneers, your flavored milks, your probiotic Yakult, things like that basically come in this particular sector actually. And the last one is basically the retailers and the consumers. So this is where you have the latest tech, deep tech as we call it nowadays. So the blockchains for traceability of milk, new packaging technologies, renewable technologies, things like that can come into the picture. Now, how do we support the entire value chain? So the usual stages of the startup ecosystem is what we also support from the beginning to the end. We call our incubation program Pride, and then one of the ideation is called the Start program, and then we have the Sustain and then the Scale. And then we want to also launch a bridge program called an incubator. So it's basically between the incubator and the accelerator, just to help people quickly validate their technology in the dairy space and then basically move to the next level. So for us, since we are very new, we are basically organizing a series of webinars in terms of creating awareness in the dairy space. Seeing how the ecosystem is built is very nascent at the minute. So we want to generate a lot of awareness, and being a Headstart hub, we will be taking the help of Headstart. Mukesh is already helping us with that. So we'll be organizing a series of events there. And then we are launching a grand challenge in precision dairying. So that's where mostly the cattle health monitoring systems will be targeted for this, so that people can either develop it completely or probably a developed product can be validated with us. So we want to be the nucleus of the next white revolution. So the white revolution came in the 1980s, where we had become from a milk deficient country to a milk efficient and a sufficient and a surplus country now. So we want to be at the center of creating the next white revolution with the startups. So that's it from me.
Thank you, Nikhil. One second, I'm just trying to find my way back into the screen.
Sure. I'll just stop sharing.
Yes. Arzu, can you just spotlight me, please? Thanks. Hi, Nikhil. Nikhil, so interesting that you have a dairy-focused and dairy-centric incubation and acceleration process.
Yes.
Why dairy? I mean, you could very well counter me, say why not dairy, but I just want to know, like in this age of where people are looking at this whole spectrum of consumer and enterprise and all these techs, dairy as an opportunity and also your inspiration to be there. I'm a very curious chap, so I hope you don't mind.
Right. So the host institution is one of the reasons why it's dairy. So we are the National Dairy Research Institute, so that's where most of the focus on dairy comes. And then if you see, dairy contributes probably around approximately 4% to the national GDP. That's the single largest contributor to the economy of the country. And it employs around probably 10 million farmers to 20 million farmers. Basically, a lot of other employment also is being generated in that side. So one of the prime focus for us also is to improve the economic status of these farmers, basically, by developing new technologies in the dairy sector, so that their income also increases. And that's the first question, I believe. The second one is why me here? Is that what you have asked?
Yeah. What's your interest in dairy and focus, your passion?
Right. So for the better part of my life, I've been a hustler, basically. So I've been in multiple places in the incubation ecosystem. And the thing that I've learned basically is that change is the only constant, and you're always a learner. So whenever there is something new to learn, so that's where I am basically stationed. So if you look at one side of the prism or the coin, it is that I'm not stable in any job. But if you look at the other side of the prism, wherever there's a challenge, that's where I am. So most of the times I have started my entrepreneurial journey or the incubation innovation ecosystem from Bhubaneswar. Bhagavati was here. So I've started my journey with KIIT Bhubaneswar actually. It's now one of the premier incubators in the country. Everybody knows it. So I have set up the life sciences incubator there. So when I've joined probably 7-8 years ago, nobody knew Bhubaneswar. So everybody knew Visakhapatnam and then they knew Kolkata. So if you have to go to Kolkata, you have to go via Bhubaneswar, and then but for some reason nobody knows that place. So I have been to that place. I've stayed there for 3 years. I've set up things. So that's my personal motivation actually. Wherever there's a challenge, so that's where I try to creep in and then see what I can do, learn from the challenge.
Very fascinating. Do you give any incentive, like a whole like if anyone wants to do pro bono consulting, do you give like an array of cheese? I'm a big cheese lover, so
sure, definitely you can.
So
we will do that. Yes,
I'll work for cheese. You can
definitely.
hold me.
We will connect offline and then we can work.
Absolutely. No, dairy is an industry that we've studied alongside agriculture through my own organization. So I'll definitely be in touch with you for a longer chat about this. But
definitely.
if anyone has any questions for Nikhil, and also entrepreneurs out there and aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if you think the cow can be explored as a startup venture, and there can be some innovations with regards to that, I think Nikhil's your man. So thank you so much, Nikhil. We have one last speaker, and we are a little bit running late on time, but thank you so much for joining us today. Yes. Can we have Dr. Nagraj here? Dr. Nagraj, your name is, we'll have to rename you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Nagraj. It's you might want to rename through your Zoom chat.
Yeah, sure, we'll do.
We'll do that. But in the meanwhile,
it was changed.
No problem.
No.
So AIC Raise, if you can help us understand a little bit about it, and then we can talk more about it.
Sure. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you. So myself, Dr. Nagaraj, heading AIC Rise. AIC Rise is a Manchester of South India. It's located in Manchester of South India in Coimbatore. So we are an incubation center focusing on SDG goals. Yeah, we are probably say we are focusing on SDG goals. Really, it's a 2-year old incubation center, but incubated more than 42 startups within these 2 years, and we have more success stories. We can go through that. So we are already mentioned that AIC Rise is working on SDG goals. So our aim is $1 trillion Tamil Nadu dream through SDG impact startups. So we are working on that. Really, we are getting very good impact on this area. More startup pitching happening in a week related to the SDG goals. Next one. So impact innovation and investable enterprises. We are working on this mode only. Then accelerate NGOs. Startup focusing on sustainable development goals. We are working on 4 verticals in AIC Rise. In first vertical, it is normally like a normal incubation center, what other AIC is working. In startup pitching, pre-incubation, incubation, acceleration, mentor onboarding, partners onboarding, and so activities related to the incubation. That is, we are looking at the first vertical. In second, you can show that next slide. As of now, in the first vertical, 51 mentors are onboarded and 4 crore seed fund we generated, and we are creating the Fab Lab Coimbatore, and 1 or 2 partners already onboarded. So these are the success stories what we have achieved in past 2 years. In second vertical, we are focusing connecting the academia into the incubation space. Coimbatore is one of the education hub of Tamil Nadu. More than 134 colleges there, and it's also a healthcare hub and also a manufacturing hub. So connecting the academia is very important startup ecosystem in Coimbatore. So we started 2 different programs for that academia connect. One is IEDC cell. So we are giving IEDC cell of AIC RISE into some of the campus. Already we received more than 112 applications from all over India. We start listing that. Already first phase of start listing was over. Nearly 10 to 15 institutes already onboarded in this month. Then another unique program is Campus Connect. That's also we are introducing through AIC RISE. These are the second vertical we are working with the institutes. And another vertical is third vertical. In third vertical, we are introducing a PG course with the Ministry of Education and AICTE. There is MBA IEV. We are 100% that course is going in AIC infrastructure only. So we are connecting the mentors. It's 100% practical MBA we are giving in that vertical. This is the third vertical. Then another vertical is student pattern generation. So here, as of now, within this 2 years, through our student pattern cell, through our AIC, we registered 35 patterns from the students. So that is another vertical we are working on that. Next slide. So these are the success stories. 43 startups incubated, 169 jobs created, and 137 programs and workshop, 25 co-incubation and locations. So these are the some snaps of our AIC RISE success stories. Next slide. So one of the startup is a biofuel. Within 11 months, idea to 3.15 crore they have generated. It's a really wonderful startup. We are also giving seed fund for biofuel. So top 10 startup in Tamil Nadu startup TN program and top 10 startup by Headstart, Kickstart program. So it's a very unique startup. It's a biofuel. Next. Then another one is a Solavia Labs. That's also generated, raised 400K USD. So they are making a robot for cleaning the solar. That's also got many national and international award. Recently, they got fund from Canada also. Then the guys are very famous in India. So there's backyard creators. They are working in the healthcare area. More than 15 titles owned by these guys. They're working in 100% healthcare area. Now only they are onboarded into a startup. Definitely they will be a very great startup in future. So these are the vertical and these are the things we are working on that. Next slide. So we have a center of excellence also to focus into the focus into the idea to the product. So we have a center of excellence in the campus itself. These are the co-working space, working space, and chill out place. What we have in the AIC RISE. So this is what our AIC RISE. What are the center of excellence we are focusing? So we have a center of excellence in Internet of Things. We have center of excellence in AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. We have center of excellence in robotics and automation. We have center of excellence in blockchain. We have center of excellence in networking and cybersecurity, and also we have a biotechnology innovation hub sponsored by AR&DP. So these are the different vertical also there with the AIC to develop a product or develop a research, and we got some research wing also in the AIC RISE to develop a product. So these are about AIC RISE, and recently we partnered with Belgium startup ecosystems, so Hub Brussels, and recently we got award of state supported incubator. So startup TN given award. It's a very good #1 incubator in Tamil Nadu. So we got an award from Tamil Nadu government with the help of our community side. And some of the award by our startups, Divya Shetty, they got a national award, and another backyard creators, so many awards. Recently, in last week also, they got one award. So we mentioned here. And another startup is Cosmic Cones, the EduTech company. She also got a national award from the Thai, and another from Kerala, Thai, is Avasara Sala. She also got a national award. This is also incubated in our AIC RISE. And another interesting factor is now in AIC, another startup is onboarded, this MH Cockpit. They are making electrical, there is battery operated flight supported by DRDO and AR&DP. One Italy company also invested in that. IIT Kanpur also working on that. Some simulation and design was over. Very soon it will be. So these are about AI's RISE. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nagaraj. Yes, I'm here. Just coming back on screen. No, thank you so much for that wonderful share and bringing to light so many incredible things. I saw women entrepreneurs. I saw so many different sectors. I mean, you guys are really killing it out there, if I may say so. It's really, really heartwarming to find the kind of opportunity that you're providing both domestically and internationally with industry, with government, working with other incubators. Tell us a little bit about your secret sauce and how you manage these relationships. I think it would be very interesting for the other incubators to also perhaps reflect on this.
Our secret of success is Mr. Rebin. And our Headstart network. Really, without community and without Headstart, we could not sign up this much. And Erwin is the guy, he is always connecting the people in a newer way. And now we are more focusing in the students startup. Actually, in Coimbator's education hub, we are missing some student startup over here because the startup ecosystem in Coimbator should be built very higher. Not in the as of now, it's in the document wise, it was okay, but it should be in higher side. Like every campus and every university, they should have some startup ecosystem into the campus, how the student can build the idea to the product or product to the business. So this should be through our IEDC cell, we are trying. So we are working on that. Very soon it will be reach all the campus within the Coimbatore. That will be a very big success story. And also Headstart and other community also always giving some more boost up like Startup September and some other program, pitching contest and so many things you are also doing. So it will be a very fruitful environment to grow up.
And Dr. Nagaraj, tell us a little bit about SDG focused accelerator, which is that any startup working on any of the SDGs would be eligible, or how does it work? And it's quite fascinating. This is the first time I'm ever hearing about it.
Yeah. I mentioned Divya, so one of the awardee from Ministry of Education and Ministry of Electronics also. Her startup is in the area of upcycling the waste. They are using the blockchain technology. They are searching the waste where they are placing the waste and where it is transferred to the dump area. Using the blockchain, they are searching the waste where it is stored. Like that, they are searching. And the same startup, they are using another. They are producing another product. There's a notepad with seeds. Already you guys know about the notepad with seeds. If you throwing this notepad into any of the places, it will grow as a tree or some other plant. So like that, they are producing notepad and pen also. So this is a really wonderful startup. They are focusing on SDG goals. And biofuel also, they are focusing on SDG goals. As of now, there is no platform to sell the biofuel. Farmers also struggling to how to sell, and industry also struggling how to get the biofuel. So they are creating a unique platform for the biofuel. Really, it's a very simplified platform. So only they are generating so many funds. More than 8 to 10 startups focusing on SDG goals for this year.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Nagaraj. We'll definitely be hoping to have more applications come your way through the partnerships that we have already, and we look forward to creating impact together. So that concludes our formal conversations with our guests today, and hope that many of the startups out there who are viewing this video would reach out and leverage these opportunities in terms of solving some of the world's most wicked problems and receiving support to do so. I'd like to yield my work now to Mukesh and Taha to close and to share a little bit about how all these amazing incubators have come forward, and what is this entire journey about for the Innovation Hub. Mukesh, over to you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for driving the whole session so wonderfully and so dynamically, I must say. You really have not just have maintained the time, but also have got such a wonderful content out of it, such a wonderful information for all the people who have watched it and also will be watching it through our platform, like through YouTube and all our platform. So before I move ahead into some more discussion, I'll just play a small video of our hubs, which is an alliance between Headstart and with the 12 Innovation Hub of the India. I'll just share it out. Yeah, so this is just a glimpse of the hubs which are with us and some of the top innovation hub of the country. And today we have had around 7 CEOs over there who have shared the journey about the experience, about the expertise they bring when it comes to research, innovation, and technology upfront. Some of the top startups as well have been over there who have worked with them and have grown in the time period. Of course, in the coming years, we'll be having some more upfront from that side. It's really going to be a great journey with the people who are with us and who will be there to support the whole startup ecosystem. Thank you so much for all the people, for all the CEOs who were with us today. And we are sure that you guys will be supporting the complete ecosystem in more better way in coming days. And your support is much needed, not just to us, but the startups also who are over there and who always look forward to get support from your side. So thank you again to everyone who has joined us today. And tomorrow also we'll be having one more session with the hubs. Tomorrow we'll be having 5 of the CEOs from AICs, 5 of the CEOs of our hubs who will be sharing more information about that side. Kiran, thank you again, once again, for driving the complete session, for bringing out such informative insight about this. Many, even I was not so much aware, but yeah, through this informative session, we have got know about such wonderful things. And also to the whole Headstart team, as well as to the people who are supporting us with the mission to foster the innovation in the country. Thank you once again.
Thanks, Mukesh. Thank you, all you wonderful speakers and all the participants who stuck around so far. And we'll hope to do more of these, and we'll probably change the format a little bit, Mukesh. 7 speakers, 2 hours, it's not enough.
Sure, definitely.
Not that I'm saying we'll do this for 3 hours, but all I'm saying is thoda sa break marte, and we'll do 2-3 of them together. I think that there's so much richness and there's a lot of building on each other's content as well, in the sense that, a lot of people spoke about the team that came forward to support them in terms of their academia support and the kind of we should reflect on what was shared and come up with some viewpoints. And I think it'll make a beautiful blog post on the Headstart blog as well.
Yes, Kiran, that will be better. Really, that will be better.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Absolute inspiration, and we look forward to creating a lot more of impact together in the coming days.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of Startup September and enjoy the work that you all are doing, and stay safe.